Today I'm going to show you my favorite desktop apps for finding free campsites. Let's go! The map viewer on US Geological Survey, USDA Forest Service, Google Maps, Topo Maps from Gaia GPS, iOverlander, and Campendium.com. Hey, it's John with JohnLaGuardia.com, bringing you tips and tools for outdoor adventure. Thanks for joining me on the channel today. We are going to take a look at those tools that I just showed you, and we're going to do a deep dive on how to use each of those. I'll show you my workflow and how I find free campsites. So before we dive in, if you take a moment to subscribe to the channel down below, I'd really appreciate it. All right, let's jump into the computer right now. Okay, so here we are on the desktop, and what we're going to do is just open your browser of choice. That could be Safari, Chrome, whatever you're using. I'm going to use Safari today. And what I want you to do is take those tools or those websites that I just showed you in the video and add those to your bookmarks. Create a folder with each of those websites in that bookmark folder. You could do it that way, or you could create these tab groups as well. And both Chrome and Safari will do tab groups. This is my preferred method, so all I have to do is name it Camp Planning or whatever you want to name it, and then when you open your browser you just click on that and it automatically takes you to each of those tabs across the top. So what you want to think about is, instead of spending all your time planning, you want to be out hiking and finding these free campsites, if you're van camping or car camping or something. So try to make this process as streamlined as possible so you spend less time planning and more time outdoors. So this first one, right, this is our US Geological Survey map viewer. What we're going to do is we're going to enter the area that we want to be in into the map viewer. And so first things first, you have a general idea of where you want to go, right? So I'm going to pick a place in Wyoming that's fairly close to me. It's called Pole Mountain. So I'll just hit enter after typing that in. And then you'll see on the left side here, it'll load a number of selections. So I'm just going to select Pole Mountain, Wyoming. So that's going to zoom me in to the map. If you get this base map error, just go ahead and click OK on that. It's not a big deal. And you'll see here that this is colored green. So in the legend, you'll notice that green stands for US Forest Service land. And what you want to do here is just click in anywhere in that area to find out information about that area. So we know we want to go to the Pole Mountain area, but we don't necessarily know what the roads look like yet, and we don't know where we can do dispersed camping or free camping. So if you click on that area, what you want to do is find out who the land manager is, right? We know now that it's the US Forest Service, but you also want to find the unit name and local name. And you'll see here under unit name and local name, it's the Medicine Bow National Forest or Medicine Bow Route National Forest. Okay, so that information is going to be key for us in the next step of the process, which is going to the USDA.gov website and finding the motor vehicle usage map for that area. And that's going to show us roads and dispersed campsites. So we know we have that. We could also find the GPS information. The latitude and longitude is listed up here. We could copy that, and that is a good idea to copy that, because we will go into Google Maps later and stick that in there. So I'm going to copy that as well. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go find this motor vehicle usage map. So even though this doesn't tell us a lot of information yet, wait till this next step. So I'm going to hit Control Tab on my keyboard to go to the next tab. And you can see here, I'm going to back up. I'm giving away some of this information here. So on this USDA Forest Service page, you'll see that it's each one of the locations or national forests are listed under each state. So we're just going to scroll down to Colorado, and there it is, Medicine Bow Route National Forest. So we're going to click on that and go find those motor vehicle usage maps. You'll see that they have a variety of different map services here, but we want MVUMS. And then once we get here, there's a couple different options, and this is based on your personal preference, right? You can do downloadable maps that you can use in Avenza on your phone or on your tablet, or you can do what is my preferred version, is the PDF maps. And I'll show you in a few minutes why I like the PDF maps. So I scroll down here, I see Pole Mountain and the other ranger districts as well, but I'm going to just click on Pole Mountain to bring up that PDF. All right, so now we're on our motor vehicle usage map, and you can see that here on the top left area is a legend. So this is key for you. You want to make sure that you check this first before you go looking for free campsites. And what you're looking for is this dispersed camping portion of the legend. Anytime you see that on a motor vehicle usage map, that means it's free to camp there. So you'll see that it's represented by these dots here, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to go find those dots along a couple roads we might want to travel down. So if I scroll over, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to look for any major highways. And if we jump back to our map viewer for the USGS, you'll notice that it's pretty basic, right? There's not a lot of information here yet. But what we can do is we can click on this map button and go to this first top left selection to load all of the major highways and some topographical, some topo information in there. But you'll see here we've got I-80 coming up north here, and you'll see our location of Pole Mountain is there. So what we want to do is we want to find that same area on this USDA motor vehicle usage map. And so here it is. Here's I-80 coming right up here. Now it's not always this easy, but you'll see that turnoff is located right there. So let's zoom in just a little bit here and let's take a closer look. We've got I-80 and we've got our turnoff. And then this must be kind of the parking lot area. But you'll see this 705 listed here, and 705.F and 705.J. Those are all Forest Service roads in Pole Mountain. So what we can do is we know from our legend that any dots along a road mean that there's dispersed camping. So you'll notice that this whole area has dispersed camping all throughout it. So there's multiple possibilities for you to find free camping in this area, which is pretty cool. But if you're like me, you probably want to find a scenic spot, maybe where you can take some pictures, or maybe something that's a little more secluded where you're not seeing other campers or camper vans or car camping. So if you want to find that type of stuff, I'll show you how to do that as well. You can see that, you know, these roads come down here, and if we were to take a left at the junction in the road, you'd see it ends right here in quadrant 36. So another thing that you want to think about is, hey, how long is my vehicle? Mine is 22 feet, and where can I turn around? You know, are there going to be areas to turn around? Well, you're not going to be able to tell that from this motor vehicle usage map. Maybe one area like this 705F at the end, you can see there's a little turnaround, but none of these other points on any of the ends of any of these other roads show that. So here's your trick in the next step in the process. You're going to go to Google Maps, and what you're going to do is paste those coordinates in and hit enter, and it's going to pull up that same location. Now let's make sure we're in the right spot. So let's zoom out a little bit. And just like we did before, let's look for I-80. So there is a road coming up here, south to north here, and you'll see that if I zoom in a little bit more, I-80 shows up. So we know we're in the right area, and then let's look for our turnoff. That was our other kind of major area that we could find And there's our turnoff, it's the parking and everything. And here's where the dirt road starts. Now, if you open up Google Maps and all you see is roads, traffic, that kind of stuff, just click down here on the satellite image down at the bottom left, and that will give you more data from the satellite imagery that was taken probably some time ago, and you'll be able to see the terrain and all the trees and elevation and all that stuff right around here. So here we go. You'll see that there's a trailhead here for maybe some hiking as well, so that's good to note. And I'll show you in a minute here my next step in the process, which will show you some hiking trails and stuff. But for right now, let's go find a good place to park. Right? Let's take our camper van, or our RV or whatever, and let's find a good place to park. So if we come down this Happy Jack Road, Forest Service Road 705, here's that 705F that we looked at earlier. Oh, I just kind of zoomed in there. That's okay. As we get a little closer in, you'll see that if we were to turn left and come down this road, 705F, you'll see that there's actually some other campers that were shown in this digital imagery. So you know that these little dirt circles are actual turnarounds. So you know you're not going to have a problem once you get in there of turning your vehicle around or finding a good spot. So say you want a spot that's out in the open, you can tell that this spot is pretty open, but you're probably going to have a lot of people kind of driving by, right? So you might want to go a little further down the road and find this area that's a little more secluded off in the trees. Pretty cool. So that's a good way for you to tell exactly where you're going to be. And what I would recommend is zooming out of this map and just kind of looking around, checking out all these different areas. And if you go on a busy weekend, right, you're probably going to have a lot of people there. But if you go during the middle of the week or maybe not so busy weekend, you might find multiple spots. So always consider which spots are going to be your primary and which are going to be your backup. So if your primaries are taken when you get there, you know exactly where to drive, so you're not driving around for hours and hours trying to find a campsite. But you can see there's a ton of options in this area, and let's jump over to the next step in our process. So far we've gone through the map viewer on the USGS. Then we've gone to find the actual land manager. Once we knew the land manager, we jumped into the USDA Forest Service website and we saw that information, and we pulled up the motor vehicle usage map, so we knew that there's dispersed camping. We checked on Google Maps using the GPS coordinates that we had, and now we're going to jump into topo maps from Gaia GPS, and we're going to find this same area, and we're just going to do some exploring on the map to see what is around. Now I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. Remember our major landmark, that highway I-80. We've got it right here. Here's our turnoff again. We know we're in the right spot. Now you'll notice that Gaia GPS has a layer that can actually show you the motor vehicle usage map information. But no matter how much you zoom in, you won't see any dispersed camping designation there, right? So those little dots along the road do not display in Gaia GPS. So typically what I'll do is I'll come over here to layers and I'll just turn that off or remove the filter there a little bit. And then we're able to see this area a little bit better. But the nice thing about Gaia GPS is you have a lot of different layers that you can choose from. You'll notice here that, say in the winter time, we'll use this precipitation forecast for the last 24 hours. The snow forecast, 24 hour. There's also wildfire information in here. So a lot of different layers that you can add. I love the USGS or the Gaia Topo. Either one of those two will show you your elevation. And so that way, if you're coming down here and you want to go on 705F, right? The same road that we looked at. You can kind of zoom around here and see what's available to you, right? You can see that you've got these topo lines as they get smaller, right? You know, you're increasing elevation, so you know there's a peak here. There's also one over here, or you know, down along this Forest Service road not far from you is, you know, some water. So you've got a good water source there as well on this Crow Creek. The other thing to note too with Gaia GPS is that it will also show you hiking trails if you assign that layer and turn that on. So you can see that we've got this Lincoln Monument trailhead and a whole network of trails here. So you can do further research to find out, hey, can I go mountain biking there? Can I go hiking? So you find your dispersed campsite, that can be your base camp for other activities. And Gaia GPS can really, really help you along the way. The other nice thing that I like about Gaia GPS too is I can have it on my phone and I can record my tracks. So anywhere I hike or mountain bike, it keeps a record of all that. I can also add waypoints. So if there's specific geological features that I want to note for later, maybe next time I come back, I want to make sure and see that again, I can put the exact GPS coordinates using a waypoint, and it's easy to find next time. And a pro tip for you, just you can use those waypoints as noting where you camped last time. So you can drop a pin on the map, and then it's easy to go back to that spot if you're ever in that area. All right, so let's jump from Gaia GPS and go to the next step in our process, which is iOverlander. Now, iOverlander is a great site for finding out additional information about an area, right? I know for a fact that Pole Mountain is not listed on here because it's not a real common area. But what we would do is, you know, we can see Wyoming here. And if we zoom in a little bit, let's see if I can get in here a little more. You can see that on the map it denotes the number of campsites, right? So there's 7 in this area, there's 8 in Laramie, there's 3 over here. But as you zoom in closer, if I were to go in and find Pole Mountain, if I do a search here, it's not going to find it. Maybe if I put the GPS coordinates in, that might work. Let's see if we can grab those from our Google map and experiment a little bit. So I'll put our GPS coordinates in there. And it says add a new place here. So if we zoom into that area, there's I-80 again. That was pretty easy. I didn't think we could find that on this map. So there's I-80, there's our turnoff, and there's our road, 705F. So we have that exact location. Now you'll notice that in iOverlander, there's no additional things on the map other than this one right here, which is called the Summit Rest Area. But you can click on that and find out information about the area if it's new to you. So, hey, this is a rest area, about a dozen picnic tables, lots of parking for cars, vans, RVs, and trailers. There's indoor restrooms in certain areas. Potable water is available, but only in warmer weather. There's interstate noise if you're closer to the road. You know, those kinds of details are really helpful. And then you can click on more details and get a little bit more information as well. You can see over here that amenities are listed. They do this because paid campsites are also on iOverlander. But we're talking about free campsites today. So you'll notice, you know, there's no Wi-Fi, there's no restaurants or showers or anything like that, right? But that's good information that you can look at any time and research. Now, in addition to that, I use a tool called Campendium.com. And it's taken just a second to load here. But Campendium will give you some additional information that complements iOverlander. So if you want to find some additional information about Pole Mountain, you'll see here GPS location data is there. and some additional information that some people have added to this. As you scroll down, you'll see the community has given some additional info. You've got Verizon LTE coverage. You can kind of see what that looks like based on people's feedback, an overall rating of the area. Also some comments from people. Hey, it's great, but it's busy on the weekends. That's good information to know. 707B, right? She's referring to the Forest Service Road, is where it's at. That's the place to go. It's much quieter there. So in a matter of seconds, you can find out information about where you're going to be going. So those are all the tools that I like to use on the computer. And if you stay tuned in the next video, you'll see how we do that on mobile as well. But one thing I do want to mention is that these motor vehicle usage maps that we download as PDF, oftentimes what I'll do is I'll put those on my mobile device and also on an iPad or something like that, some kind of tablet, and take those things with me too. So that way my co-pilot in the van can show me exactly where I need to go. Hey, turn left here, turn right there, let's explore this road, whatever. But it's all there, because in a lot of these wilderness areas, you're not going to have access to your Verizon data or whatever cellular service that you use. So it's a good idea to have a backup and put that on there. Now, another thing I want to mention as well is when you turn into an area like this that has a network of Forest Service roads, oftentimes there'll be a sign there and you can go over to the sign to find out more information about the area. But also sometimes they'll have a box with paper maps in there too. I suggest you just grab one of those as well, so then you've got a backup to your backup. It's always a good idea, because if your battery runs out, you have no other way to charge your mobile device, you can have that piece of paper handy, and sometimes that's a little bit easier. So remember, follow the process that I've showed you in this video using those tools for finding free campsites, and you'll be on your way to planning awesome adventures. Now, if you're new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe down below, and I thank you so much for joining me today. If I've brought you some value, also hit that like button, and don't forget to check out the next video in this series, which is using these tools on your mobile phone. It might help you out in a pinch. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next video.